Welcome everyone to the Ashen Forge. I am Phantom X, of course, joined by Diggs and the legendary Neurotoxin. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Great.
Awesome. We are on episode 22, and I guess tonight we'll be talking about castle sieges, which I watched part of the recent video, not all of it, but I think I'm going to let you go ahead with this, Diggs. You're going to know more than I will, so we will start with you.
Yeah, I'm the Ashes fan here. You guys
That is true.
are the haters.
I mentioned this beforehand. I've just, until the MMO part comes in, I'm just really not feeling much of anything right now, which is fine. That's nothing on the developers or anything.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. What part of the MMO are you interested in? What's
do you mean?
there that you're? Well, I know you're interested in nodes, so it's probably really not even just
all of it.
More of it.
Anything that's not a battle royale.
It can't be that because, I like the exploring part of the battle royale.
Yeah.
I ignore that. So I like the fact that I can go in, explore the world, which is what I mostly want to do in an MMORPG in any case. See what the housing is like, see what the flora is like, which is what I would have liked for even
Landmark?
not Landmark. What was the Revival? Even just being able to walk around in our houses when we got our houses, and it would have been nice to have the first part where we could walk around Crown's Rock. That I was looking forward to that, because I'm an explorer. So that's one of the things that I like to do is, what is this area? What is this area? How are they different? So that's enticing for me, but that's not part of the RPG experience or MMORPG experience that's enticing for you, is what I'm saying.
No,
so what are the other pieces that
I
are
want to PvE. I want to craft. I want to get into testing the farming, the city growth.
So maybe Horde mode, probably. It sounds like not even Castle Siege, really. But Horde mode might be the first thing that interests you.
Just basically everything that it's not right now.
or is it some other? Is it the crafting aspects of PvE? What are the PvE aspects that you like?
Well, yeah. Combat without having to be just PvP, basically. I mean, I'm interested in the combat, but I'm not interested in.
Yeah, so Horde mode might be more of an interest to you once that gets here. Okay. And then what about you, Nero? Do you think you're going to be more interested in castle sieging, or is there something else?
Yes, much more. Battle Royale, part of why it's boring to me is because even if it's a short 20-minute session, it's still one life. That's boring. The fact that Castle Siege is a combination of something that has respawn, so I can get a survey of the situation, die, and then come back and make a better decision. I like that a lot more. That's a lot more of a game that you would actually expect to see me play. And on top of that, the fact that it's actually getting the context of a castle siege, I like that. It actually, there's now a purpose to it instead of it just being. The reason why I never really liked Battle Royale or any of the both movie and TV, anime, book, non-video game versions as well as the video game version is because just a battle between a bunch of people, for survival or to be the last one standing, that's kind of boring to me. It actually doesn't do anything for me. So the fact that it's actually wrapped up in the context of one side versus another, I'm not picking sides. I don't care who's who. I'm going to be both sides at some point. So I just want it to be a good encounter and to be able to give feedback on that. So that's why the Castle Siege is way more interesting to me.
We just got some info from Woodship00. By the way, it takes 6 minutes, 50 seconds to run from south to north barriers, which is 2.5 kilometers. So now we know it will take about an hour in the MMO map. Yep. You're a nerd. That's right.
Good stuff. Thank you.
I think the the Castle Siege maps are 1 kilometer square, 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, for each of the castle maps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that, and hopefully we'll be getting Castle Siege. I'm thinking in February. We're almost at the end of January.
I thought they said that's what the next one was going to be.
Yeah, the next one is going to be Castle Siege, but it was supposed they were hoping that content creators and Alpha 1 people would get it the end of December, but then they had some issues with the open beta of Apocalypse, so that's pushed back of the BR portion. And I'm guessing since they skipped this weekend, they're going to do one more week that's regular, 1 or 2. I don't think we're going to get Castle Siege by the end of January. I think it's going to be somewhere in February, hopefully. But speaking of, that did cause some controversy because I guess beginning of January, they said that the Battle Royale would be every weekend starting January 11th, and they're skipping this weekend. And we just found out yesterday or Tuesday that they were going to be skipping this week. And maybe we just found out yesterday. I think we just found out yesterday or maybe Wednesday. Yeah. That they were going to be skipping this weekend, and people were irate because they promised.
Yeah, but coming from the development standpoint, A, this is a test, and B, right. If what we're going to do is spend time and resources to keep our team around over the weekend, to have you testing on a build that rightly is not worth testing on, then we're going to save our development resources and save your time by not wasting it on a crappy build that we don't want to sit around over the weekend trying to keep running. So that's fair. I'm fine with that, looking at it realistically.
Yep. But they should have said, Steven should have said, maybe.
Maybe. Yes, I agree. Qualifiers should have been used. I won't disagree with you.
But I was telling people that, one, dev schedules are inherently tentative. It's never a promise.
Especially MMOs.
Right. And I don't know, we should have known that for at least the last 5 years of being gamers, if not before. But also, that's what PR people are for.
Yes.
That's why you have PR people telling the lead designers and the CEOs, don't say that. No. Qualify that. And when you go to conventions, you have them standing right next to them so they can clean up the language. And so we did have.
Yeah, you're right, Woodchip. That Maggie is probably starting to corral the communications coming from the rest of the team. She's had plenty of experience working on teams with people who have a certain interesting approach, and so I think being able to do her best job to funnel the information. Yeah, that's something we're going to be able to rely on going forward, is improvements to the quality of communication and feet being put in mouths far less frequently by the higher ups.
Well, that kind of goes back to almost something like that Zog would talk about very early on with Ashes was Steven's propensity to say yes to everything, and that so having her there, and even the people getting upset about this weekend, like I said, we so used to saying yes, we'll do it, where it would when they don't, it's a big deal.
Yeah, there was a moment in the Castle Siege live stream where somebody asked Steven about guild management, what features would be in the guild management system. And he said, well, this is what we're going to have. But then we could also do this and this and this and this. And Jeffrey was like, and Maggie was like, yeah, let's, that's going to be a lot of UI. So let's, he's like, well, yeah, I wish that could happen, but yeah, that's not in the design currently. So we'll So I think we will see more of that. But again, that's why you have community managers and PR people and there to help with the language.
And especially she's very technical too, has actually, done the development side as well. So it's not like, she doesn't understand the process thoroughly.
Right. So it has been nice having her and having someone be able to drop into Discord to talk with us more frequently has been really nice since she started on January 7th. So I don't know if we heard so much on January 7th, but within a day or two after that, we did hear quite a bit from her. She says that she wants most of the communication to be through the forums, actually, once they get back up.
That's smart.
And so the focus would be on the website and the forums and then spread out through social media from there. And of course, Discord will still be a, fairly major player, but she wants the forums to have more of the focus. So it would be nice to get forums back sometime, but we'll see. And Steven does love his game. Yeah. Which is kind of the problem with having the lead designer and the lead and the CEO be the ones, executive producers, the ones who are fronting everything because they're passionate about their games. So let's see. So we talked to Maggie. We did have a content creator chat with Maggie today. And she kind of gave us, she got from us, the content creators, feedback about what we would like to see, how we would like to see the program work. And she's going to put together a document that will kind of renegotiate the terms so that she'll share what it's going to be her expectations are and what we would like to see happen, the incentives and things that we would like. She said today, and I didn't realize this, she said that she was one of the people that created, and now I'm forgetting the name. What was the name of the program for SOE? Player Studio?
Oh, no, Player Studio you're talking about
I think she said Player Studio.
Player Studio is what they used to.
I could have seen her doing that with like Planet Side 2 for sure. But no, you mean the what's it called? The creator program?
Well, I think she said Player Studio, but I was thinking that whatever that was for Landmark, I remember. Because there was a whole incentive.
I'll find it in a minute.
Yeah, but yeah, I get you. Definitely, I could see that she had been involved with that for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think because were you a partner in that for a while?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I was.
And what were kind of the things? Because I know that there were
two major benefits that you would get featured on their channel, on the main page, as well as you would get the codes every month that you could give away the exclusive items.
Right. Yeah.
Those were the main benefits, and then if you sold enough copies of the game through your referral code, you would get certain perks, which I felt like that shot them in the foot because then they had to stick to it. Then it's like, wait, I can't get on any of Neuro's talk shows with any of the devs because, not enough units were sold and that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. So that's one of those like shooting oneself in the foot by trying to use the system to incentivize, the dev interview as a reward, where instead, like if you've got active communities and the devs can go on, by all means, get them on there as much as you possibly can.
Right. And I think I'm hoping to see more of a spread. I'm really hoping. So I did ask Maggie if she would be willing to come on, and she says she still needs time to get acclimated to the information, so she doesn't feel comfortable coming on and representing Intrepid Studios quite yet. But revisit that in February, and I'm kind of hoping maybe early March if we can. That would be nice to have her on. And I don't necessarily know that I need her to represent Intrepid Studios. I just like to have her on and talk about her experience, especially since we met her 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago exactly. Like I think we're at the 9 month, not the 9 month mark, but
5 year mark.
Yeah, we're 1 month away from the 5 year mark.
I mean, it goes back. I think I first met her at the like the SOE, like the Planet Side 2 thing back in like 2011 or 2012 or something.
Oh wow,
so,
okay, cool.
Yeah, it goes back a ways.
It was just the Sony Online Entertainment Insiders program. I think that's
Insiders program. That's right. That's the one.
Yeah.
Cool.
I still have emails with codes for.
Yeah, we all do.
For Landmark.
I think I still have a spreadsheet with all
the seat. Or the flight suit.
Suits, yes.
Yeah, I still
Tiny
have
butt
those.
suits.
Completely worthless.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what for Apocalypse could be similar to that, and I don't really see anything.
Skins, exclusive skins. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It got so bad you couldn't give away the stuff they gave us. All right, we're going off in a different area here.
No, that's no. I think
that's not a bad thing, though.
To Relic Raid, we're going to get there. There's just a lot of other stuff to talk about. So we did get the. We did have a weekend to play, or I had a weekend to play in between our last show.
I installed it with every intent to. By the time I was ready to play, it went down.
Yeah, our D&D game.
Yeah,
got in the way of you playing. But you got a lot of gear, so that's good. So they got squads working. It was fairly smooth, I think, last weekend. They got a lot of stuff that they want to work on fixing. They got Legendary Path working. We're not sure that we got the bonuses, the XP boosts, working the way we were expecting them to, but Alex, who's one of the IT people, said that the XP boosts are, what did he say? He said they're like passive and low compared to the Quest XP. So we might not have noticed when. They unlocked all the weeklies and all the dailies. So now you just finish a session and you get like all this bonus XP for doing all this stuff. So we might have missed those XP boosts based on the extra XP that we were getting for completing quests. But I'm trying to get confirmation. I've asked about that, but I haven't gotten confirmation on whether or not we actually got those XP boosts or whether they're just.
I gotta say, I care zero amount about any XP and boosts and whatnot up until I'm actually playing in the siege mode.
Well, and it doesn't really even do anything except just gets you more skins. It gets you skins fast. So, I mean, yeah, I don't care. Just test. And probably you'll eventually get everything anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. So there's that. What else? I don't think there's anything else I can think of. If I do, we can circle back and so we can jump into Siege Week, Castle Siege Week. So we did have a live stream. We did get some information. We got to see Castle Milnar and I forget the name of the other one.
Castle
Milnar. What is it?
Korgan,
yeah. I think Korgan sounds more dwarvish to me, but it's Milnar that's the dwarf castle. It's seated up against a cave or a cavern. The
Junzokel dwarves. That sounds more like a beer than a dwarf.
Dwarves like beer.
They do.
I guess humans like beer too, but dwarves really like beer.
I guess every time I look at it, it makes me want to drink a Dunkelweizen.
There you go. I get it. And Castle Korgan. So we got to see a little bit a preview of those in video format, and we got to learn a little bit more about how the sieging is going to work, and we got information on the 6 classes that will be available during Castle Siege. So did you guys watch any of that?
Yeah, I caught parts of it. There was parts where it seemed like they were talking about non-gameplay related stuff in like the first 15, 20 minutes. I kind of skipped through some of that, but yeah, I got to see some of the stuff that they were showing off and get a little bit better idea of things. I like that they're going to be starting small with the classes, with the selection. So those 6 themselves can kind of be balanced, and a little bit of a pace can be figured out for how to balance for the remaining incoming classes that they're planning to add, however many they're going to add in this Castle Siege.
Mm-hmm. And was there anything? Did what you hear about how the siege play is going to work? Did any of that interest you? Seems like things you hadn't experienced before, or?
I've played a lot of different siege modes across a lot of different games. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you have to take the relic to win, that just reminds me of the original Planet side, where you had to get to the very top, the control console, and then hack it and hold it for a period of time in order to flip the base to your possession. So, I mean, I've played that sort of thing before, where you're trying to fight up to a point and then, hold it off for a period of time. I like that. It's fun.
And even that you have to channel the relic at the end, that's kind of like you're saying that's similar to the Planet side.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, which, there were a lot of SOE and data that ended up over there. So there's a decent chance at least one of them had their hands on that initial system that I talked about.
Right. And so did they have siege weapons and all of that too for Planet side?
They had for the original one, they had vehicles, but you couldn't really destroy anything but the turrets on the outside of the base. It got to a point where you had to get out of your vehicles. And that was actually one of my favorite things about it, that the second one lost, is that there were kind of 3 layers to combat. The exterior, where you would see the big vehicles and infantry interspersed. Then the layer of you're through the doors, but you haven't gotten to the core of the base, and that's where the big infantry fight is. Then finally, once you're at the core of the base and you're breaking down those systems, then it's a matter of being able to hold those against the last-ditch rush to try to take them back. So I like the idea that we may see something very similar here, that it'll get to the point where there's only so much you'll have been able to do with the war machines, and if you've got everything locked down on bombardment, you're still not going to be able to advance, because you need to actually send people in, and they've defended all of the entry points pretty well. So then it stops being about who's got the catapults and becomes who's got the force that can penetrate and push, or hold the line and resist the push.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of how I want to play that. I think I'm very interested in the engineer, so I'm hoping that I enjoy playing the engineer. That's really more about repairing the statuses, the health of inanimate objects rather than people. So I'd like to see what, can I heal the gates? Can I heal the walls? Can I heal the siege weapons?
Yeah, I think that is what an engineer is going to be for.
Yeah. And then even going out and seeing what it's going to be like to try and, what can I do as an engineer to fuck up the attacking side, or vice versa, all of that.
Right.
And I do like the concept of the gizmo of Ingress, which lets you, the engineer plants that, and it gives catfall to an ally to be able to jump over the wall.
Yeah.
So, even though I think I would prefer to defend rather than attack, I think I gotta try out attacking sometime, just so I can see what it's like to help people jump over the wall.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch. I watched probably the first 30 minutes of that video. So I basically got through the what appeared to be, I don't think it was actually gameplay. But anyways. So can you, as an engineer, or have they even commented, you mentioned, repairing the walls or whatever as you're defending. Are you able to, I assume, or are you able to also jump the walls and go sabotage the machines?
Yeah, they specifically said an engineer is going to be good at building stuff up and breaking stuff down.
Yeah,
so you could have a squad.
Will be a role.
Okay, so you could have a squad that actually goes out. You see catapults that are tearing things, just tearing apart. You could go out and maybe sabotage those. Okay.
Yeah.
That might be fun. I'm kind of with you there. I would rather do that than, hold the line with a tank or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other kind of ability that they mentioned for the engineer is like an earthquake arrow thing. You shoot the arrow and it does an AoE earthquake that'll knock people over.
That's cool.
Sounds fine.
I'd rather have it as like a throwing hammer, but I don't think it is an arrow.
Yeah. That can come later. I mean, I wish we could play dwarves.
Actually,
I think we're going to be stuck as humans, but I wish, since we have a dwarven castle, then I would like to be able to play a dwarf. I'm going to defend the castle.
One of my favorite weapons in a very obscure first-person shooter, Legends of Might and Magic from this 3DO's last game before they went under. There is the gravity axe. It would, if you use the secondary version, it would stick into the wall or the ground, and it would attract people towards it. So for something like this, I could see that being great to use it as, instead of a grenade, as an area denial to make people get out of a space. You use it as the attractor to force them into a space. And then, of course, you can follow up with whatever AoE, or once they've been separated, you can start to drive your people through past them.
I hear lots of people are thinking about playing the High Priest. Lots of people are saying healer. Squishy
target. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested in that, but I think one of the abilities of the Archwizard is like a cone of flame that you can push forth over the battlefield, and the way they describe that is something I haven't quite seen in that way, or just seen described in that way. So I'd like to see. I'd like to play around with that. So I'm thinking maybe the ones that interest me are Archwizard and Engineer. The Ranger is it Ranger that they're calling it? I think so. But whatever the Ranger, Hawkeye, that's the name.
Hawkeye, yes.
The Hawkeye gets grappling hook, so I can see you, if it works like the one in Landmark.
Yeah. I am someone who loves the mobility in games that offer it. That's basically the cheat for like Final Fantasy Tactics. Oh, just stack speed and mobility. You just win.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
That could be kind of fun, swinging along, shooting people.
Yeah, or just using it to get into advantageous positions where you and three of your buddies are hanging. They go past you and you ambush from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or if those help you get up on top of the walls and snipe and all that kind of stuff, that could be cool.
I can pull people down from off the top of the wall with an that's some good stuff.
Well, that brings up. I was going to say, so class kits. So one quick segue and shout out is to Dungeon Crawler Network. I was in their live stream, their Twitch stream yesterday, and their video will go up on YouTube on Monday, and probably the podcast hits on iTunes and everywhere, Stitcher on Monday. And they were talking about classes, but they were calling the classes class kits. I think the class kits are something separate. So there's there's 3 roles, which is support, DPS, and melee, something like that, and then 6 classes, and then the class kits are objects that we'll be able to get by playing through Castle Siege, and maybe even the other modes too, that we'll be able to apply additionally abilities and things like that on top
They talked about you got a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and 5 abilities. So I could see all of those being interchangeable in some way, likely with class-specific things.
Well, I don't think they're interchangeable. Well, the
like, I don't think you're going to use a Hawkeye ability on an engineer, for example, but you would get potentially variants on what you would have as a Hawkeye as you've played on, even not necessarily playing as a Hawkeye. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're just going to get different kinds of bows, or bows with different kinds of extra stuff on them, or maybe stats, or I don't know, but extra stuff. So I think the kits are something that you get to kind of kit out your class. And Woodship00 was saying, since we get class kits in the siege mode, do you think they might try to add tab targeting to the abilities? No one has asked that question yet that I know of, and we should make sure that we hold on to that so that question does get asked to the devs. But I don't think they're planning to add tab targeting to Apocalypse. I think it's just going to be action abilities. That's my current feeling, but it's a good question to ask for sure.
I could see why they would keep it to action abilities for the load testing aspect of it. Mm-hmm. That tab targeting, you're kind of cheating it. There's not necessarily as much physics calculation that you have to deal with, so much as did they have a full clear line of sight while the projectile was magically going from point A to point B. So, to that extent, I could see why they would just keep it to basically, some variation on AoE for all abilities.
Yeah. And then what Chip also said, with Kevin McPherson, who is the lead programmer at PlanetSide, I think there's a good chance a lot of that gameplay will be incorporated in Ashes, which would be really nice.
Likely so. The PlanetSide, the first, I feel like still had the more successful mechanics to it.
And he also says he's Hawkeye all the way. So that's
yes.
but so I think it's nice. Oh, so one of the things that we learned is that you will be able to, as you're loading in, you choose whether or not you want to defend or attack. And then as you're loading in, you're able to see who's choosing which, or how many people are choosing which class. And that can help you make your decision on which class you'd like to choose.
Right.
I'm hoping that you're locked in for the duration of the session once you choose your class, instead of being able to change during the session. But some people are saying, I'd like to be able to switch. But I mean, moving towards an RPG, I'd like your choices to be meaningful.
Yeah, for the sake of simulating what a real in-game battle is going to be like, you're not just going to be switching on the fly like that between respawns. You would probably largely stay the way that you were, simply so that way you can return to the fight quicker. You don't have to go and completely re-kit yourself, if that's even an option. So it makes sense to keep people locked in that way. And then the other aspect of it is it kind of makes it a little bit more, makes it a little easier to determine what the imbalances are. If you see a trend where picking more of one class or another on offense or defense has a higher tendency towards victory or defeat, and being able to either make balancing changes based on those correlations, or make decisions about what the following classes and class kits they're going to add are going to be based on those decisions. So I feel like it really makes the most sense to just kind of do it that way.
Yeah, and I can really see it being meta for some guilds who decide, hey, we're going to have a balanced team for the first 20 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes we switch to weapon master. Everybody's still weapon master, and we just go out and destroy everybody. Some people could really build on that strategy, I imagine.
It could be that if you somehow tough it out with like 40% healers and 40% close fighters, that you're able to somehow get to the point where you're actually through the doors, fighting in the interior, that you just steamroll it. That could definitely be a strategy in itself. That do you have the stuff to, with the wrong composition on the outside, be able to still make your way through so you can do the damage on the inside and actually win? Or likewise, the opposite, that you have plenty of engineers and you're just bombarding the outside, but you can't actually penetrate.
Yeah, but I think I think I like it better if that's the strategy when you have your set, you're locked into the classes that you choose, versus having something where you're playing one way for 10 minutes and all of a sudden you just meta into, we found the optimal class that'll destroy everything in the last 10 minutes. And so you just switch classes to that.
Have they said how long they figure a siege will last?
They said anywhere from 30 to 35 minutes, which is a very strange way to phrase it.
That's short. Kinda.
Yeah. 30 to 35 minutes to me means if you're close to the 30-minute mark and it's in contention, they'll let it keep going for a little while to let it resolve one way or the other.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Anywhere makes it sound like it's, a large margin. 5 minutes doesn't seem like,
because in my head I compare it. That really the only game I PvP'd much of, which I actually did a lot early on, was World of Warcraft, and so I'm just sort of comparing time frames. You would get into, what was it, Alderach Valley.
Alderach Valley was like an hour usually.
You would have
steamrolled.
I mean, there were, at least on my server, there were, not all the time, but there were some that went a whole 24 hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So 30 minutes for a siege seems, and the reason some of those went for hours and hours is because it was a siege. You were constantly trying to push one way or the other.
Yeah.
So if they're saying 30-minute sessions, that's okay. Is one side going to have a bigger advantage? Like, because if you're expecting only a 30-minute go around, then if you're fairly evenly distributed in defense and offense, it seems like it would go on for longer than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I wonder if it's an actual like ticking timer 30 minutes, or if it's more of like through attrition and running out of resources. After about 30 minutes, you're just going to be on like respawning with your basic stuff, and that's it. And then it's going to kind of end pretty quick at that point.
I think it's something more like. Well, go ahead.
Well, how does the defensive side win? Do they?
That's what I was going to say.
Is it just a time frame, or can they go out and wipe out the?
I would imagine
attackers?
It's probably some amount of time frame. There might be a series of checkpoints to it that if the attackers don't make it up to a certain point in a certain period of time, it's just counted as a win. Right. So it could be that if you haven't like gotten through the gates within 15 minutes or something.
Well, it's if the attackers have not captured the relic within 35 minutes, then the defenders win. So one of the things the defenders are doing is, as they capture control points on the attacker's side, as the defenders capture the attacker's control points, that reduces the overall time of the game.
I see. Okay.
The session. It's
whether you can complete the attack before you run out of camps. I get you.
Yeah, and then the attackers, I think, can expand. They can increase the time somewhat. I should double check that, but time frame. So I think capturing control points also increases respawn of the opposing side, and that's 30 second. Every 30 seconds is the respawn. And that's just is on a rollover.
So while we talk siege, a viable option would actually not for the defensive side is actually an offense. Then basically, not just defense. They actually can go out.
That's right.
So you can conceivably put together a strong group of, like, say, engineers that reduce the attacker's destruction of your defenses, and at the same time, an offensive group that goes out and takes their points.
Yeah.
Right. But that's one of the challenges with that is if you spread yourselves too thin, you'll be creating openings for them to get through. So it's something that I feel like you have to do it quickly and surgically if you're going to do it. It's not the sort of thing where you can just march out a third of your people and expect to do it. They'll see you coming. But if you have like 5 or 6 people sneak around the back and kind of get the ball rolling, and then a few more people show up to finish the job, that I could see being a more likely way to go.
Yeah, and they mentioned at least I'm guessing at least the Dwarven castle has tunnels in it. So that's the other thing. Are the attackers tunneling through, or the defenders tunneling out? How does all that stuff work?
If we're talking about a game of Undermine, it's technically both.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying it's going to be interesting to see what strategies people use to try and get to one place or the other. Defenders, once a defender captures the attacker's control point, defenders can teleport to those control points. I think over on Dungeon Crawler Network, we were trying to figure out if that means attackers can also teleport to control points on the defending side that they've captured.
That would make sense.
Side, but that wasn't.
But it also said that it takes longer for each control point that you've captured. The next one takes longer. So I could see where, you've got the last 2 left and it's just really hard to capture them, on either side.
But I kind of like that. One of my favorite things is to capture control points. So turn them over. So I'll have to see.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Professional.
I feel like if you're taking a risk, right? So say you're going out to capture the attacker's control points. That's a calculated risk, right? So, if you get there and capture a control point, but then you completely wipe out, I don't know how you took a risk. So the idea of being able just to instantly go back there, I don't know.
Knowing who's behind this, I'm guessing there's going to be some adjacent system that you have to have. There's like a group of nodes, and that you have to have at least one of the adjacent nodes to be able to maintain your supply line and keep spawning at that advanced position. That if you get cut off, you're just going to be spawning in the backfield again. That is very much a planet-side developer's sort of way to do things.
Yeah, and I guess there's recaptures of spots too. So it's not like just because you captured it, it's yours forever.
Yeah, no, I would expect points are going to constantly trade sides, especially the ones in the middle.
Yeah. Let's see. I think it will be fine for A1 players, which are going to be more structured, but add in the FTP players. I don't see this going well. So which part? What was that referring to?
Alpha 1 versus free to play. So he's saying that he thinks it'll be fine with players, but once the free to play players come in, that it's going to be a little more messy.
In what way?
Coordination. I
can see. I mean, it's hard to say either way. I mean, there's going to be people coordinated coming in as free to play players who played other games and they're seeing the Castle Siege side of things and they just want to come through and whoop out. Dark Age of Camelot players, I could definitely see them coming in mass.
It's going to be Warsong Gulch. Did you ever, Diggs? Did you PvP in World of Warcraft? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
but I can't remember Warsong Gulch.
Warsong Gulch was the one with the 2 hillsides, the sawmill,
And I was Alliance, so inevitably half of the matches you're free to the equivalent, I guess, in my head of free to play, which was just a pug of Alliance players, and like half your matches you would actually run up against a horde group that was a guild or group that was structured for that. They knew what they were doing. That's sort of the same thing. That comment makes me think of that.
The ones who actually went out of their way to buy all the best bind on equip level 20 items. And they my character never levels past 20. They're only for the valley. Or they're only for the Warzone Gold.
What was the weapon? Or was it Wind Fury? No, Thunder. I don't remember. I just can remember. It was the warrior sword. I cannot
Thunder
remember.
Fury?
Yeah. Like you would come up against these 10-man groups that knew what they were doing, and their tank would lead out with that, and you're just like, oh damn, this is horrible.
I mean, back in vanilla, my shaman would take on 3 fairly well-kitted people and just kill them all because I used engineering and I had top-rated gear. So between that and before they nerfed the spells and you could get your full damage bonus on a half-second lightning bolt, I mean, come on, that was ridiculous.
As complex as it sounds, you're sure. I guess if your goal is to win every time, you're definitely going to probably want to not be in a pickup group.
Right.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting though to see how the matchmaking works and.
Do we know how big they're going to be? Is it going to be 50, 100, 100?
100 is what I think they want.
All right.
But
that's definitely manageable. And if it isn't, then we'll know now what the scale of the multiplayer is going to have to be.
100 voices. 100 voices. That will be manageable.
Well, if it's proximal and not, a shared two-dimensional same volume sort of thing, then that would be a little better.
But that's the other interesting thing, because I expect to play like we played Hero Song. I don't expect to be paying attention to VoIP. I expect to be in Discord listening to a handful of people or whatever my guild is.
Well,
whatever my Discord community is.
If you want to win, you better be intact with the other 99.
I have to imagine there's going to be some leadership system, so that way people can either opt to be leaders or just have it be assigned to them, but that they're the people that basically get to use the global commands and whatnot to be able to chat to everybody and coordinate the leaders. Or maybe not. Maybe it will just be a figure it out for yourself sort of thing.
This will be sort of what's the power of one. So again, I just compare back to what I know. So you Warsong Gulch, one player could easily go in and take 3 flags and win. Alterac Valley, one player is not going in at the end and killing the boss. So
that's true.
I guess if you're actually able to be effective as a single player, then yeah, sure, join, listen to music, whatever you're going to do. But
well, I think it also may depend on knowing your role, knowing the map, and that could be an interesting thing to see how that works out.
Yeah, but if it takes 5 engineers to destroy a catapult, you're going to want to make sure you have 5 people on one and not, 5 different catapults with one person.
Yeah, but then I would probably always want to make sure that I would probably play with 5 engineers. Like those would be on my Discord.
There's just a lot of interesting tactics, right? So if you have multiple entrances into the stronghold, do you purposely heal? Do you funnel, right? You funnel the attackers in a certain way. Kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I wonder tactics, strategies, and.
Did they actually show gameplay, or did they just show sort of demo footage?
They did not.
Yeah, it was more of a teaser than the actual gameplay.
Because what I watched, they're definitely, it shows the catapults, and you see this glow, and then it just disappears. There's like no explosion. So it's a demo, but this isn't.
If I recalled correctly, you couldn't actually destroy the structure of the place like in the real MMO game until the relic was destroyed. Wasn't that right? And
yeah, but that's a little different. I don't think it's the actual relic. I think there are eggs that you pick up. So I think the thing that the predator steals is different than the relic that captures the whole thing.
Because that's the thing I was thinking is that we might see the war machines and everything, but it might just be that they're providing AoE suppressing fire, and they don't actually destroy the walls in this phase.
They're supposed to destroy the walls and the gates, is what they mentioned. But I'm curious about seeing that myself. So,
yeah, it will be interesting. You know, that could also be a part of the timer and longevity of it. That like they're always firing or whatever, but you'll just run out of shots at some point. And if the opponents have been able to repair and maintain the infrastructure enough, then after 30 minutes you just lose anyway.
And I'm very curious about how the battering ram is going to work. Like,
they showed it a few times.
Well, we saw the battering ram, but we didn't see how do you get it to move. Like, is that
8 people push it? I don't know.
Yeah, do you have to have 8 people? Yeah.
Is it 4? That's what I'm wondering. So,
I don't know. Uphill or downhill?
I'm saying I don't know.
Now that I've seen that, I want to build all of my gates uphill. Every gate into my castle that has to be uphill.
I'll say this has more interested than Battlegrounds. I just
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Woodchip00 saying, my guess is if they introduce Rubble and Destruction, that would kill the servers at this point. But
no, actually it won't, because they figured that one out years ago with Landmark, or at least Voxel Farm did. You basically just convert the chunks that you break off into a mesh, and then once they settle, you convert it into a separate mesh that's just kind of using this like terrain meshy thing that's in the area. It takes a little setting up to do it, but for something that's designed for it, it actually isn't that bad.
Yeah, I wonder if they can do that with UE4. Can they do that with UE4?
I don't know why they wouldn't be able to.
I'm pretty sure Voxel Farm has, both Unity and UE4.
Because right now, things just disappear in the BR. But when you destroy them. But
yeah. CU took forever to get over that hump. We actually, this has probably been a couple years ago now, but we interviewed, or we had Miguel, who is the creator, owner of Voxel Farm, on with us for an hour. It was really interesting hearing him talk. So we've, anyways, he has his own engine, obviously, but actually,
last year they released the new version of it.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I still follow a few people that built within Landmark that will just go into the Voxel Farm engine and just play, and they make some really really cool stuff. Do. So, and I believe actually Voxel Farm and Crowfall, right? I assume they're still in partnership. I'm not sure. I know they were when I was actually into Crowfall. I don't know.
I haven't heard any different.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're positioning themselves to have the destructive voxel warfare game sort of tech here. That's really cool. I mean, to have it deployed on 2 different games, and of course, if it's already being used on Crowfall, then they've already gotten some reps in before it even goes to Ashes.
I will say that watching the video, that it strongly reminded me of Crowfall. Just the way it's all set up. There's obvious differences in how they're going about things, but just the main idea of the siege.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I get you.
Well, we are near the end here. So, was there anything else, any more you wanted to talk about, Diggs, before we sign off?
No, I think that wraps it up. If you want more, be sure to tune in to Dungeon Crawler Network on YouTube on Monday, or you could head over to their Twitch channel and catch their replay video talking about Castle Siege. And I would say Crowjack is on Dungeon Crawler Network. He has his own channel, and he should have some footage of Battle Royale play. Crowjack, check out BCG, I think, too. But just shout out to those folks if you want more information about Castle Siege. Hopefully we will be back in 2 weeks, and we will have played another round of the BR.
Someone will have. I won't.
Hopefully, I will have played another round of the game.
Probably played it.
I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
All right. And we will, of course, be back next week. We promise with our COE show. I know we missed this previous week, so we'll make that up.
Well, don't make too many promises. No idea what work's going to do to
That's
you.
true. That's true. But I actually wanted to touch on something as far as an article and some supposed gaming websites.
Oh, yes, I agree.
Where Diggs actually took an opposite position of me. Not surprising, but the position itself you took was surprising. Anyways, we'll hopefully get into that next week. So
It shouldn't be surprising. You know, I'm not into.
I was surprised, actually. No, just we'll get into it. Just
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time.
yeah, the position you took was interesting. So, anyways, everyone have a great Friday night, and we'll see you in a week.
See you later, everybody.